Yeah, so soon you walked, like you asked us to go into the corridor. The first thing I was straight away drawn to, like the fourth door down to my left. It was like all this bright light was coming through any sort of crack in the surroundings of the door. So I knew I needed to go into that one. It sort of was like highlighting that door. And as I walked in, and you sort of said, like, you know, what can you see? And the next thing is, like, I was sitting on a camel, riding a camel quite leisurely, and they were building pyramids. There were loads of work going on, and there were pyramids on the back and everything. And I knew I was a male, and I knew my father was the owner of this caravan of camels, and I knew I was in my 20s. And I also was very much aware of the heat, and we just were. It felt like there were like around 15 to 20 camels just all going in a row. It's all like in a sort of a caravan, and we were delivering. It felt like we were bringing food, or we were bringing goods to this town, to this place where they were building. And then you ask again. And then I was in my 30s. Again, I couldn't say I was 31, 32 or whatever. I just knew I was in my 30s. And I knew I was married. And the lady I was married to, I don't think so I ever got a name, but she was dressed like in a kaftan. She had this funny little headdress on. And she had like those, it looked a bit like dreadlocks, but they were all like braids. And I knew I was married to her, and it always felt my happiest time, because you ask about the happiest time. But every time I left, the journey it took quite a long while to go from A to B on our camels. And my father was like the boss of this whatever we transported, and he was like teaching me, like he was teaching, you know, and that's where the learning came in, like listen to your elders. And every time, the happiest place, it was like an oasis, and we had the fires going and the shooting stars, and like the trees, they were like dates, and we ate dates, and there was water. Some of them swam in the water. The camels were like grazing and drinking, and I always knew I'm nearly home. Every time when we came up to this oasis, I knew it is not far now to go home. And my highlight of coming home was, it always felt like there was another baby waiting for me. But the first time to have a baby girl was all right. The second time it was like, oh my God, another baby girl. And I just wanted a boy. And yeah, I got quite cross with my wife. Every time I came home, it sort of seemed she'd born me another girl. But, fourth time lucky, she bore me a boy. And again, I could teach him, because by then I was like in my, again, late 40s, early 50s. And so I had somebody to pass my knowledge on, like the knowledge my father passed on to us, or to me. So I knew I can pass that on to my son. And it was just sort of like you felt telling, passing on you trade, or, the routes, because they were like sort of secret routes. You knew exactly where to go with your camels to go from A to B. And, that sort of business was passed down into the generations.